Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, episode number 351. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, our roundtable discussion. We had a blast doing it. There we go. We had a lot of fun doing it, all the boys here at the Studio B, and I'm in Studio B again today. Really enjoyed it. Had a great time talking about golf. Listen to me. I'm losing my mind here. Talking about baseball and Mets baseball, and then we actually did another show for Baseball and Barbecue that dealt with all of baseball, so that'll be up in a few days, so be on the lookout for that one too. Baseball and BBQ, check it out. Google it, it'll come right up. They've got a Facebook page. Great show, been on there a number of times. Love being on with those guys. They're great guys, so go check that out as well. Not a heck of a lot to talk about, so it's going to be pretty much, I don't know, maybe a short show. But, a couple of things have come up. The Mets signed Jed Lowry to a 2-year deal. I think it's $10 million a year, $20 million for the 2 years. $10 million a year, straight deal, and he's gonna. I guess he's gonna be the super sub guy. Played a lot of time at second base last year, but with the acquisition of Robinson Cano, he's not gonna get a lot of playing time now. He'll probably do some backing up at second, may play some first, unless they can play him at second, play Cano at first, and first base is going to be the interesting spot to watch in spring training. Do you go with essentially two rookies? And then there's 15 other guys on the team that want to play first. Cespedes says he wants to play. He's not going to be back, so we're not going to worry about him right away. But they say Todd Frazier can play a little first base. Jeff McNeil can play a little first base. By the way, McNeil's going to the outfield as well. Peter Alonso, Dominic Smith, of course, should be the ones that are fighting it out. Robinson Cano, they say, could play first base. I think Lowry can play first, or maybe they would play him at second, play Cano at first base then. I don't know. It's really, they've got a lot of choices and very good choices than they had in the past, I think is the best way to explain it. Depending upon whether you like the choices or not is another thing. But they are offering other choices. And, we're going to have to see how it all shakes out. It's just, but first base is going to be interesting to watch to see who they play. Are they going to give Peter Alonso and Dominic Smith, are they going to give them a shot to win the job? And then there's the whole Super 2 thing. Are they will they keep Alonso down 2 weeks or 3 weeks when the season starts, just so they can have longer control on him? I say if he has a booming spring training, that you got to let him in. You got to let him play, right? I don't think you can cut that away from him, take that away. But what happens if Dominic Smith has a great spring training? Would you platoon him? Then you may want to leave Alonso down. Let Smith get a couple of weeks in. See how he does by himself. I don't know. They've got a lot of question marks. The difference from years past is that they have a lot of talent here now, and deeper talent and flexible talent than the last few years. So that'll remain to be seen. But it looks like they may be done. Mets GM Brody Van Wagenen stopped short of saying the team is definitely done making big moves, but he's not looking to upgrade the outfield anytime soon. It's not a top priority at the moment, he said. He also said, let's be candid, the outfield is probably not our top priority at this point because with McNeil going out to the outfield, he gives us another really good weapon to be in the lineup on a potentially everyday basis, Van Wagenen said. By added Keon Broxton in a trade a couple of weeks ago, he now gives us even more coverage, protection, and competition for Lagares out there. He was responding, Van Wagenen was, to a question about going after Bryce Harper or A.J. Pollock. And he did go on to say that he would never rule out looking at great players. And if we can find a way to make deals happen, we'll be creative with it. I think from a fit standpoint, both in the outfield and the infield, I think we're in a pretty good position as we go forward. Interesting that he didn't mention catcher. There have been rumors that Darno could be traded for either relief, more relief arms, and then they could sign a Devin Mesoraco or a Maldonado who's available still out there in free agency. Mesoraco wouldn't be a bad deal because he knows the pitching staff. He was good with the pitching staff. The pitching staff liked him. They worked well together. So that wouldn't be a bad sign at all, I think, to bring back Mesoraco. But, again, we'll see how it all plays out as the season goes on. Now, there was a question from one of our listeners, Michael in San Francisco, our good friend Mike, wants to know about the lineup construction, and I jotted down a few things here. Let's see. Well, again, it's going to be determinant about what positions get filled by what players. Case in point, I think Nimmo is going to be the leadoff hitter. I think they want to have Nimmo lead off as much as possible. Tough lefties, it could be Rosario. They could move Rosario into the leadoff spot, or even Lagares against a tough lefty, and have Nimmo sit on that particular day. But I think Nimmo they're gonna try to make Nimmo the leadoff hitter. I think I've heard about Wilson Ramos possibly hitting second. But if you remember, McNeil hit a lot of second position last year when he played. So perhaps if he's in the lineup, he could hit second. Ramos could drop down to maybe sixth. Third, I think, is going to be Cano. Fourth will probably be Conforto. Then it gets a little, then it's the fifth spot. It could be Lowry if he's playing third. Could be Todd Frazier. Could be Smith. Could be Ramos if he gets dropped down into the lineup. I think the cleanup spot would go to Alonso once he gets up here. If he gets up this year. And then I think on a more daily basis, you might see Rosario hitting seventh and Broxton hitting eighth, or they could flip-flop them depending on how much speed they want to get at the bottom. Rosario did fairly decent in the eighth slot. They were very happy with it, in some cases even batting him ninth. They were happy with that because of the speed at the bottom of the lineup and the talent. So that's always a possibility. Mike, I don't know what to tell you. I, th- I think what it comes down to is we don't really know for sure. I think it is all up in the air. I'm trying to give you a a construct here. But I think it's safe to say that Nimmo is going to probably be the leadoff hitter with possibly Rosario against lefties. Or Lagares could even be in there against a tough lefty. And he did do some leadoff hitting. But he could drop to seventh as well and push everybody up. As I said, I've heard Ramos's name mentioned in the second spot, but if Darno's catching that game, perhaps you move McNeil into the second spot and drop Darno to the sixth spot. It's going to be a lot of lineup changes, I think. I think they'll eventually settle on one, but I think as going into spring training, we've got a lot of moving parts. We've got Lagares, we've got Broxton, we've got Nimmo for center field. My guess it's going to be Nimmo, Lagares, and Conforto in the outfield to see. And then we'll move Broxton and McNeil as interchangeable, as different pieces. But there's a lot of moving parts, and I guess that's part of the new modern game of baseball, that you have these moving parts to shift around and have guys go play different positions, and then, gee, what's going to happen in the second half when Cespedes comes back? But you know what? I wouldn't worry about that now, and I'll tell you why. The season will shake itself out. If Broxton is a bomb, so you hold on to him. You hold on to him, and then maybe you dump him in the second half if he's a bomb. If Lagares gets hurt, you have the insurance with Broxton. The same thing. If Smith or Endor Alonso flop, then you have a Cano, Frazier, or Lowry there to pick up the pieces. The only thing that concerns me right now at this particular structure of the lineup is that it is really not a decent backup for Rosario at shortstop right now. Now, I don't know if Lowry ever played shortstop. If he could play it in an emergency, he probably could. McNeil could probably play it in an emergency. But who else? I don't really know at this point who would be the backup. Now, of course, there's still Guillorme, Cicchini. One of those guys could make the team as that last guy and be essentially the backup shortstop and not see a lot of action, which would be kind of, you feel bad for a young guy that makes the team and doesn't see any action. And then when he's asked to see some action, you can't. It's hard. It's hard to not play and then go ask to go in and play and do something, and then they say, well, these guys never proved themselves. Well, it's tough to prove yourself if you're not playing every day. But I could see perhaps a Gavin Cicchini, or even Luis Guillorme making the team as the last player, and probably, though Cicchini did show some pop with the bat, he could play also second and could play short. He came up as a shortstop, played a lot of second AAA essentially because of Rosario and other people. So I could see that happening. provided they have good spring training. So we'll see. We're getting there, folks, and it's going to be exciting. Let's see, how many days do we have left? 28 days to pitches and catches. So we're getting there. And then a lot more questions, 70 days to opening day. A lot of questions to be answered in spring training. So beware of that, as you go along. All right, let's take a quick break and come back after these messages.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Hey, baseball fans and book fans as well. This is Frank Nappi, author of the Legend of Mickey Tussler series, inviting all of you to learn more about my protagonist, Mickey Tussler, an incredible pitching prodigy who has autism. Follow Mickey's journey as he captures the hearts of fans everywhere with his blazing fastball and indomitable spirit. Please visit Amazon or www.franknappy.com for more information.
Hi, this is the world-famous Mr. Brewtown of BrewtownSports.podomatic.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, Brewtown Sports. You can also listen to the show at Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and iTunes.com. And we've got the new one. It's called BrewtownRadio.weebly.com, but the one that I'm most proud of being on is BaseballPodcast.net. It is the home of great baseball talk shows. Check it out, my show and all kinds of other programs all about Major League Baseball. So check it out. That's baseballpodcast.net, the home for great baseball talk shows.
Check us out at MetsMusings.com and find the Mets Musings podcast on Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, iTunes, Flipboard, and at baseballpodcasts.net. That's baseballpodcasts with an S.net.
And we're back, and if you'd like to be a part of the show as well, you can send us a voicemail at Mets Musings. It's 516-619-6341. That's the voicemail comment hotline. We got a voicemail coming up just a sec. If you'd like to do it, if you'd like to do what Michael did, you can leave a comment on our Facebook page. Mets Musings is the Facebook page. Or you can send me an email at metsmusings@gmail.com. So lots of ways to get in touch with it. And you can see on the screen, you can follow me on Twitter, that hashtag Mets Musings. But I have to tell you, I don't do a lot on Twitter. I'm guilty of not doing a lot on Twitter. Don't know why. I'm more of a Facebook person. But you can see in the frame here, if you're watching the video, the email address and the Hotmail, voicemail, Hotmail, whatever you want to call it. The comment line, I don't know. I get all tied up. That's what happens when you get old, folks. All right, let's play a voicemail we got from a good friend and listener.
Hey, Gary, this is Jerry from Long Island. I have a question regarding the Mets. How do they plan to get a power hitter for the upcoming season so the pitchers don't line up so it's already no decisions? Thank you.
Well, Jerry, first off, thanks for the voicemail. I don't think they're going to look to get another power hitter. I think they are figuring that with Cano and Conforto, and Nimmo showed a little bit of pop last year, and with a healthy Wilson Ramos and a healthy Juan Lagares, and if everybody stays healthy, I think they feel they have enough offense, and perhaps they're going away from that power game to get into a more traditional type of game where getting guys on base percentage, high base percentage, get them around and get them in. I think that's more the likely thing to happen. But don't forget Conforto. I still maintain, and I think I said this last week as well, that Conforto was injured in the first half of the season last year. He shouldn't have came back as soon as he did. They should have kept him down there probably till May, maybe even June. But he showed great power, we saw the hitting. We saw the capabilities of Michael Conforto when he came back mostly in the second half of the season. So I think I don't think that was a fluke, the 28 home runs. I think he can hit 30, 32. And don't forget, Cano can pop the ball too. He's an excellent hitter. Maybe they're hoping for a healthy Todd Frazier to have a rekindling of his power ways. Lowry hit 20-some-odd homers last year. So I think there's enough. I think there's enough offense there to put together some nice run-scoring games. And, again, it's a waiting process. We'll have to see how it all weeds out. And perhaps the biggest potential power that they're looking at would be Alonso. If Alonso can make this team and be successful on this level, he is your guy. I mean, he is your prototypical first baseman power hitter. And, he hits some rockets, too. I mean, he's just not clearing the fence. He may not hit him as far as Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton, but he hits some rockets out there, and he hits long home runs. So he is your prototypical power hitter. I think the hope is that he can make it and make this team out of spring training and provide that power probably out of the cleanup spot. Though when he first comes up, I got a sore leg. They probably will put him in. They might have him lower in the lineup just to take the pressure off, but maybe in a 6th spot or a 5th spot. But make no mistake about it, he will be the power guy. He is the pro, as I said. He is the. If you look up power guy in the dictionary, his picture's probably there. He is your prototypical first baseman power hitter. And we'll just hope he can make it. That's the difference between him and really Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith is more of a spray type hitter, more in the Keith Hernandez vein, though he showed some pop, and he is a pretty big guy, so he should have more pop. But Alonso is the power guy, and if he can come through and hold this team together until Cespedes comes back, then you add another power guy. If Cespedes is coming back this year, it's a big if, folks. We don't really know. I also maintained last week as well. I probably you'll get tired of hearing this, but I firmly believe that he shouldn't have played last year at all. They should have really sat him down, had the surgeries. They knew that this was part of the problem with the heels and the hamstrings. Had the surgery last year and gone from there. But they didn't. And, now he's out now. So he missed half of last year. He's going to miss half of this year, if not the whole year. I wouldn't count on him. I would go ahead and construct the team without him. And if he makes it back, it's gravy. If he doesn't, well then we go on from there. But I don't foresee them getting a power hitter anytime soon. I really don't. I think they're going to go with what they got. They're happy. They're satisfied. And I think that's what we're going to see. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I want to thank you all for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Google Play or YouTube, wherever you listen or view the podcast. Hit the subscribe button. That helps me grow the show and expand to new listeners. And until we meet again, don't forget QBC this weekend, Queens Baseball Conference. Hope you're going. I'll be there. Look for me. And until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets.